Okay, welcome back. So this is the third episode in our side-scrolling infinite runner system. It's a very loose term for that, but it's a very basic, nice starting point for you to create something like this. So there's very little complexity to it, and it can be expanded upon. So let's do our health bar. So in the break, I just went and instead of wasting all of our time trying to find an image while we were recording the video, I just found an image and I have to change it to sprite2d.ui. I'm also going to change it to point. I'm going to apply it. Notice how my image is black and white. The reason for this is so I can add any color to this image that I want. So I'm going to right click here and add a new canvas. I'm going to add an image to my canvas. Remember to set your canvas to be from constant to scale with screen size so that when I scale the screen bigger and smaller, notice how the block is still in the corner there and will always stay there. But if I say constant, when I make it smaller or bigger, the block comes in and out of view. And that's not what you want. You don't want that if you're designing a UI, a game for, let's say, iOS and PC, you don't want the logos to kind of disappear and buttons to disappear off camera. So you're going to say scale with screen size. And because, let's just say this is going to be for a 1080 game, so we're going to make it 1920 by 1080. Notice how the image becomes significantly smaller. I'm going to rename this image here to HP fill. I'm going to go into my view here. Notice how really big it is. Now the way I can explain it best is think of Unity works in meters, correct? So when it creates its UI, it does 1920 across, so 1.9 kilometers across by 1 kilometer down. So it's big, this UI. That's why it's so big. So I'm going to add my elixir to this, not the elixir, damn it, the health bar to this. Notice how the resolution's a bit buggered, so use preserve aspect ratio like that, and you'll get the correct aspect ratio, regardless of what the width and the height is. But my width here is 854 by 188. That might be a bit big, but let's get the aspect ratio right. So 854 by 188, just so that I get the correct size format. And then don't ever scale UI, you're going to get pixelation happening. I see that my students doing this a lot. Click the rect transform tool here. Hold down shift if you want to keep the constant scale across the X and the Y to be the same. I'm going to be typical and put this in the top right, where all health bars for all eternity has pretty much been put. Okay, so now that it's here, I need to change the anchor point. So when it scales, it needs to have a point of origin. Right now it's the middle of the screen, but I want to make sure that it stays locked up to the top left corner. Okay, so this is currently just an image. We can't use this as a health bar. It doesn't function as one. So we need to change the image type from simple to filled. And if we leave it as radial, it's going to kind of look more like a cooldown bar. And I want it to be a typical horizontal bar like that. So we can lose health like that. Now notice how there's no background image there, so we want to be able to have something in the background. And I'm just going to give this a typical green health bar. Maybe more kind of a teal, kind of turquoise greeny color. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this image. I'm going to rename this one to HP back. And the way canvases work is whatever that's in the canvas list, whatever is at the top will be the furthest back in your UI layout. So just drag this above so that it can be behind this. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to make this red quickly. I'm going to move this image back where it was. Now it's buggered off. Apologies, because I dragged it out of the canvas by mistake. So I'm just going to paste component values so that, notice how it's on top. So I want to move it behind the green one so that we only see the red when we start losing health. Okay, so what we can do is just parent these two together, so we can move one and we move both of them. Okay, now let's move on to doing the actual health part in relation to the player. So we're going to grab the player, and we need to add a few things here. First, we need to add health as a float. We also need a max health as a float, and I'm going to set this to be 100. Let's just say that's the max health. And I'm going to put the damage amount here. So the player is always going to get hit by the same amount of damage. So I'm going to put the damage there. It's going to be a float, and this is the amount of damage we're going to take. Let's say 50. So we get hit twice, game over. Okay, so now that we've done this, I'm going to go to my flow machine here. We've got the variables, so I'm going to put at the start of the game. So we're going to type in start. We're missing a variable. I will add it now. At the start of the game, we want to do a few things. Let's just add that variable. This is going to be UI health. It's going to be of type image because it is an image that we're using. And I'm just going to click here. I'm going to go in the scene and I'm going to pick up my HP fill. So let's set the health. So at the beginning of the game, I want to take my, while holding down Alt, I want to left click and drag my health in. Because you then do a set variable. And I'm going to just left click and drag my max health. And I'm going to set my health to be what my max health is. So whenever you're working with the system and you want to change the health, just change the max health. Don't be concerned with the actual health. Because when you start the game, we set the health to be whatever the max health is. Okay, once we're done here, we want to grab in the UI image, and we need to update the UI while we're here. We need to make sure we update the UI to reflect what the current health is in the player. Okay, we're going to drag off here. We're going to type in fill amount. We're going to say set fill amount. You're wondering where I'm getting this fill amount. It is from, if you go to the HP bar, and if you look under image, remember that's the variable I created. Inside here, there's a variable called fill amount, and there's a little slider. Now, while we're here, notice that the slider starts at 0 and ends at 1, but my player's health is 0 to 100, so we need to rectify that problem. So we'll do that while we add it. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's just put this nice. We need to essentially, let me just get the calculator on this laptop. Okay, in order to convert a value between 0 and 1 from whatever we have, let's say my player health is 100, and I divide that by my max health, which is 100, I get 1. So that is how we're going to convert to 0 and 1. So if my player's health is now 25% health divided by 100, I'm going to get 0.25. So what we're saying is we're going to take the player's health, and we're going to divide it by the max health. And we're going to use that value inside of the fill amount, like that. And that way we're always going to get a value between 0 and 1. Okay, so let's put a comment group around here, call this at start, update, player health, and UI. There we go. So that's what's going to happen there. So let's test if this works. Change the color of this. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just drag this slider and put it somewhere at a low number so that we can see when the game starts that health bar, jeepers, that color is so close to my background. Hold on. I want to make it a really interesting color. There we go. Which means I want to change this to an even uglier color. There we go. Now this health bar is going to look ugly as hell. There we go. So let's start the game. And notice how this health bar is at 0, like 15, 20% health. And it's going to pop up to 100% health. There we go. Okay. So notice how I'm getting shimmering in my little panels at the bottom here of my prefab. It's because I kind of just eyeballed it and did not make sure that they were lining up 100%, these images. The light coming through just means that they're not 100% perfectly aligned and they're just allowing light to come through from the background. Okay, so now that we have the health bar working, let's get some damage happening here. Okay, we're gonna first let's do the damage system. So on trigger, on collision, enter 2D. So when we collide with something, we're going to check to see if it is an obstacle. I think we called it that. So we're going to do a compare tag. Obstacle. There we go. And only we're going to create a branch, or for those of you who do code, this is an if statement. So we're going to do an if statement to see if we hit the obstacle. Let me just double check my spelling is right. Just move this across here. Let's go into our prefabs. Obstacle, that's right. Okay, so obstacle, if we hit an obstacle, we're going to want to, and I don't want to put the health system in here. I want to create a health system. We just call the health system when needed. So I'm going to right click and say custom event. Think of this as creating a custom method for those of you to code. Let's just call this health system. There we go. And over here, we're going to go and say custom event, and it's going to ask you to trigger custom event. You're going to say yes. I'm going to copy the name down here, and I'm going to paste it here. So every time we hit an obstacle, it's going to come down here. It's going to fire off into this event. That's all that's happening here. Put it here. Set this up, and we're going to call this take damage, I guess. There we go. So this is going to take damage, and I'm going to remove one of the variables that I created earlier on. Where did it go? Hello, swan. Oh, jeepers! Am I doing this in the wrong place? Yes, I have done all of this in the wrong place. Actually, not the wrong place. I've just been doing the last section in the wrong place. So let's cut this out of here. Let's go back to the player where we've been doing this in the first place. Just paste this down here. Okay, so the plan is to use the same system and essentially just add or subtract. So max health, damage. Let's change damage to incoming value. Let's just call it that. Let's set that as 0 for now. We're going to drag it here, and we're going to set the incoming value to be float. I'm going to set this incoming value to be 50, let's say. So in this case, minus 50, because we're taking damage. Again, not necessarily the best way to do this, but for small projects and just for learning purposes, it's not a bad place to start. Okay, so that's going to take damage. We're going to go into our health system, and we are going to be taking a look at a few things. First, we're going to take our health. And we're going to need to add. Add or subtract makes no difference. So add our incoming value. And we remember we have to set it back. So hold on, Alt, drag this in, update this here. While we add it, let's update the UI, grab these UI elements up here, copy, paste. I'm going to paste it down here. And remember, we need to grab the player health here. We need to remember multiply it by the max health. Okay, so now that we've subtracted the amount of health and we've updated the UI, we just need to do the following. We need to actually check, right? So we need to see what we need to do with this. So we need to sorry. My brain stopped working. Yes, we need to check to see if we need to die or not. So we're going to add a branch. And we need to grab the health here. We're going to see if it is equal to or less than. I never just do equal to. Chances are very slim that you'll get that exact number every time. 0. So we're checking to see if it's equal to or less than 0. If that is true. So if this is equal to or less than that, we're going to do a load scene. Let me just see if I can find the one that I'm looking for. Let's just do the standard load scene over here. There we go. And then what the scene that I'm loading, I think this one is called, I actually have no idea. I think it's called Platformers. So I'm going to make sure that I go to my scene folder, copy this, and paste it in here. And in order for this to work, we need to go File, Build Settings, and make sure we add this file to the build settings so that this has something to reference to what to load. Okay, so now that the whole health system setup is done here and it's updating the UI, we can test that out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is every time you hit an obstacle, I'm just going to destroy the obstacle. So let's call this, okay, health system. Let's make this some other random color. So we can just show color coding in the process. Sweet, so when we take damage, we're going to go through here. We're going to go take damage. This is all good in the world. I'm going to fire up the health system. And then I'm just going to go game object dot destroy. And I'm going to destroy the object. Now, this is where it doesn't get tricky, but this is where you don't simply drag and plug that in, because what's going to happen is you're going to destroy the collider on the object and not the object itself. So drag off here and type in game object dot game object. And we're going to destroy the game object that's attached to the collider that we just hit. So we're going to destroy the object that we hit with. Okay, so let's do this first, see if this works, and then we can do the health pickup while we add it. And notice if the health bar actually, if the player loses health. Of course, this time I don't get any actual. Interesting. Let me just check something. Sorry about this. My math might be broken. Plus, minus 20. Okay. No, that should have worked. Minus 50. Incoming health, minus 50. And we're going to take this, we're going to add that to there. Oh, okay. Sorry. I could be wrong, but I'm about to double check if I'm right or wrong. These things can be a little tricky as far as where you put the flow of things. Let me just double check if I'm right. So we're going to go here, divide that by max health. Yes. Also want to see if the health actually got removed and if the health bar necessarily was just working. So what I'm going to do here is choose the player. I'm going to double check that the health updates. So health is at 0. Health is at 100. You can see it over there. Okay. It seemed to work, but it did not seem to update the correct value. So full amount on the UI element. Let me just double check that things are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we're taking the health and we're subtracting the incoming health or adding the incoming health. We're setting the health again. We're taking the health and we're dividing it by the max health. And setting that into the full amount of this image. Let's just double check that the image hasn't broken. No. List of spawned. Which means variable not found. List of spawned objects. Apologies, I'm getting another error here. I wonder if this has got something to do with something else. Okay, anyway, let's continue seeing why this isn't working. This full amount should be updating. Not quite sure why it's not. No, health is actually updating. Oh, it is updating. Must have been a bug in the machine or in my brain. Either one. Let's just double check that it's actually working again. Why didn't it update that time? This is so full of crap. True for our health system. Oh, good God. Apologies. Should we not switch these around? It would make perfect sense that we actually set the damage that's incoming before we fire off the actual event that does the health taking. So I think that one time that worked as a complete fluke. Or at least it happens on the second time round. So let's be careful how you put things in code and in bold. If just one off, like misstep when you're just thinking about something else, like I was, kind of just do some random stuff here. There we go. Just find the next rock. There we go. And now restart the game. So damage system is working. Let's set up the health system. Now I'm just trying to remember what we called this. Elixir of life is called health pickup. Got it? Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing here, but remember it's a different system altogether because we're not doing an on trigger enter, we're doing an on trigger enter 2D. There we go. We're just going to copy this compare and this branch, paste it down here because it can be a little bit tedious and sometimes I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to typing things over and over and over. And this one's called health pickup. Okay. Now we're probably going to want to do the following. When we go in here, we want to first see if we can pick up the health. Do we need it? Is our health already picked at full health? So if we're going to grab in our health, we're going to grab in our max health. Jeepers, that wasn't max health. We're going to compare these two. If this is less than this value, then we should be able to pick up the health. Let's move this down again, and let's plug this into a double if statement. So if that is the health pickup and we need the health, then we'll pick up the health. Basically, that is what this system is saying. So we're going to say if our health is less than our max health, that means we've already taken damage, so we want to be able to pick the item up. So after that, we're going to copy these two here, copy that, and copy. Might as well copy all of these. Paste them down here because we're just basically rinse and repeating this situation. Yeah, we're going to put, let's say the health will give us maybe not as much as damage, so let's say 25. What object are we going to be deleting? We're going to be deleting the health pickup, and we're firing off the health system. That's it, and we're going to put a comment group around this. And we're going to call this pick up health. You can continue doing systems like this, adding health, adding speed boosts, adding pretty much whatever you can think of as far as pickups. Maybe a little shield that allows you not to take any damage for a little while, that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's see if this works. So, damage, take damage. Now, if I have 100% health, I'm not going to be able to pick up anything at this point. But if I don't, I'll be able to, so like I hit this rock. Oh, no, I hit the other rock again. Health boost. Okay, so let's hit this rock and let's just hope the next one, there we go, took 25. There we go, another 25. And I didn't pick that one up because I already had full health. Again, did not pick that one or that one up or that one or that one. Wow, good times. How the hell did I get one on top of the other one? Anyway, so there we go. System seems to be working. This one has all the requirements. Rock, elixir. Let's just see if the other prefab is still working. Rock and elixir, list of items, list of spawn places. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty much your health system. I have a very basic health bar here. You could have a value underneath here, so 50 out of 100, that kind of stuff, whatever you plan to do with this. Again, I'm keeping this as very basic and as very simple as possible for understanding purposes. So the rest of this, again, it's ready to build on top of, to become more. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.